Yeah, I wanted to talk about just why I don't approach people anymore. Um, for one, when it comes to dating, from my experiences, people could be playing mind games or just fishing for attention, when going to like dating scenes or dating events. And that kind of just leaves a sour taste in the mouths of the guys that are trying to actually find relationships. So I get going to dating events for an ego boost, but I mean, not really at the same time. Because you can do that stuff online, and that's fine. But doing that in person when people are actually investing not only time and energy, but also like money, because they have to drive there, they have to buy the tickets, they have to buy, the liquor and everything. It kind of leaves a sour taste in our mouths. Granted, I'm not saying everyone does that. I'm not blackboxing everyone here. I'm just stating, these are things that I've encountered that have thrown me off. But when it comes to just approaching people, I've always had trouble, just making new friends, just speaking to people, guys and gals. Mostly because I just don't know how to initiate a conversation, like what to start with. Because I don't want to jump on a topic that's like too deep or anything, because then people are just going to be thrown off if I, throw them a philosophical question out of nowhere and they don't even know me. So, because I figure like when starting conversations, you would just lead on with something small and then work your way up to like bigger topics. But I just don't know, how to approach people. But especially nowadays, it doesn't seem like a lot of people want to be approached. People just seem to be, more wary of one another. There's an atmosphere of distrust around us all. People are wary of homeless and think that homeless people are, a problem, when it's really a systemic failure. It's not a failure on their part. Maybe for some it might have been, but for most, no. But, people are just quick to assume that, these homeless people, do drugs because of potential mental illnesses, which I can understand. And, there are a lot of them that also just have mental ailments that aren't being treated. And it's sad that people just think of homeless people as just subhuman. That, even if you potentially become homeless and try to approach someone just for a little bit of help, like money for food, they're just quick to treat you like a pest. And it's all because of the pictures that the media has been painting about homeless people. It's staggering how easily people can be manipulated in today's world. I grew up when you just had like those big box TVs and you had the flip phones. By the time I was, in middle school, yeah, I had a flip phone, but that was just to call my mother and father. That was it. I didn't have social media. I didn't have any fucking apps. I didn't have a smartphone. We didn't get that till I was in high school. Actually, midway through high school. So, and even then I had a pretty basic phone until, college. Then I got, the iPhone, the early models. But I just feel like, with all the information that's out there, information that can be fabricated, people can just paint horrible stories about one another, tarnish one another's names, or tarnish an entire subset of the population, because you just view them as lesser and you want other people to view them as lesser too. So, it's just, I find it hard to talk to people because I feel like so many people are closed-minded. They're not open-minded. They're not willing to change like opinions or beliefs. Like, I am willing to have my opinions and beliefs changed if someone can present their argument, present their logic as to why I should change my opinion or belief. And it just has to appeal beyond what I feel. It has to appeal to my sense of logic as well. So, I'm pretty malleable when it comes to the mind itself. I feel like, I've undergone a transformation in the past year. Granted, I still have depression. That's not going away, and I feel another potential tide coming, but I'm hoping that my quote-unquote self-medicating, with sativa, THC, during the day and indica at night, just to keep myself calm, will work long term. Maybe not as a cure, but at some point I can cut down on my usage to where, at some point I may not even need it. Granted, I don't know if taking, THC long term just changes the structure of your brain, but more so in a way to stave off depression. I don't know. I know depression is basically a series of chemical imbalances in the brain. I just don't know if long-term usage of THC restores that balance. At least long enough to, where you don't even need to take it anymore. But, I've undergone a transformation, and, I just feel more open-minded now. Granted, I do get defensive at times, and I'm learning not to do that. It's just, at the same time, whenever I'm being confronted about something, I shut down, because that was something that I did with my late father, who, as I come to find out, despite the fact that, sure, he never, hit me, he was technically, by definition, abusive. So, those are trauma responses from what I've learned. So I'm trying not to even think about just what comes to mind usually when that happens. I just try to, listen to what the person is saying, and then after collecting myself for a little bit, offer a rebuttal. I'm getting a little bit better about doing that. But I don't know, I feel like people are also just so distant nowadays. We push each other away through, all these fabrications that we can come up with for one another, all these stories. Because that's also the problem with technology. As we progressed, the ability to also create false information and spread it and pretend that it's true has also, increased. That's had a serious impact on our society. Here in America, for instance, the fucking election. Now look what's happening. But I'm just very fearful of approaching people, because honestly, I think to some extent I do care what people think of me. I don't really know why. I'm trying to think of an answer right now, but I don't know why. I don't 100% care, but I do somewhat care. I care if my overall image is good. That's what I really care about. But I feel like at times I could be painted in a bad picture if I interact with more people and I just one day, say maybe the wrong thing to someone, and they just automatically think I'm a bad person, and then they spread that rumor. And then, I would have had everything at one point, and then at the next I would have no friends or, anyone to hang around. So I think that's probably why I just don't interact with people. I wouldn't have to go through the fear of abandonment anyway, because I'll already just be by myself. So I think that's probably one reason why, that I just don't really approach people. Because, I don't really create anything to fear at that point. So, but, I don't really approach people as much anymore, but I'm trying to change that. But it's just difficult. People have changed. I mean, the world has changed for not the better since, God, middle school. You know, I just remember things going downhill more and more. Still hearing about all the shit that's going on, because my friends are also teachers. They tell me the shit that's going on, and it worries me. But anyway, I think that's it for my little rant, so I will talk to you all later. Bye.